A medical team from China arrived in the Gambia to boost the country's health system. Nigerian importers raised concern over the rise in shipping prices in the country. And the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war deteriorates life conditions of citizens in Afghanistan. Well, this and more coming ahead on The World Today. Many thanks for joining us. This is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Now the 5th Chinese medical team arrived in the Gambia on Monday and they were received at the Banjul International Airport by the Minister of Health and Social Welfare. Now the yearly deployment of medical team to the Gambia is part of the cooperation between Beijing and Banjul to support Gambia's health sector. Moses Emendi has the details in this report.
The Chinese medical team touched down at the Banjul International Airport on the eve of Monday. It comprises of 9 doctors with specialty in various medical areas, including pediatrics. The team of doctors will have a 1-year stint in the Gambia and will be involved in theoretic training and teaching at the country's referral Edward Francis Teaching Small Hospital. Dr. Momodu Tinyasi, Deputy Director of Health Service, views the support as a good one.
So it's a very good support we are receiving from China. So they have been supporting us since the beginning of COVID-19 when it starts. So they have been giving us a lot of laboratory and diagnostic tools, infection control, prevention materials, just to name a few. And today we are receiving the 5th medical badge from China that is going to support our country to make sure that we move our health service delivery of this country forward.
He assured that the team will get full support from the Ministry of Health to enable Gambians to benefit from the medical expertise of the new team. Their coming will fill a huge vacuum. The team will also offer support to other main health facilities such as Carnifin General Hospital and Brikama. Dr. Sun, the Chinese medical team leader, shared gratitude and excitement to be in the Gambia and looks forward to contributing to the improvement of the country's health system.
We will do a lot of housework to improve the Gambia people's health problem. I think we will have a very difficult time.
Luo Wenjung, Economic and Commercial Counselor of the Chinese Embassy in the Gambia, said the medical partnership between Beijing and Banjul is a long-term relation.
I think that we are 2 nations, but we are 1 people. Thank you very much. Today the arrival is the 5th one. We will continue, work together with our counterparties. Our Ministry of Health, thank you, and our, teaching hospital, and also all the medical, workers, doctors. Yeah, thank you very much.
He said the Chinese doctors will be shifted after a while, but the medical mission will stay forever. The team will work with Gambian medical partners to boost health service delivery in the country. In a year's time, the 5th medical team that arrived yesterday will be replaced by the 6th team. Moses Mendy, Eyeafrica News.
Now, Nigerian importers have expressed concern over the increase in shipping prices, which according to them is affecting their businesses. Now, as the demand for imported goods such as cars importers believe that the authorities are not taking their complaints seriously. Now, Nigeria's Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders urged the authorities to look into their predicaments. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Car dealer Alhaji Sadiq is hoping for a good deal today. He imports various brands of used and new cars from the US, but his business of nearly 25 years is facing one of its toughest times. He's spending 67% more on freight charges, and the high cost has caused his sales to dip.
It is affecting our business in some ways, mainly price increments, because we have to, like, if we bring the cars in and our custom clearing is higher, we cannot abandon the cars, we have to clear them, which is unfair, because it seems like our complaints are going to deaf ears. Nobody is considering our plights, and in most cases, there is no due consultation before this increment. So now when we clear these cars, our end users, which is our customers, being that we have to increase the prices of our vehicles, the demand has gone down.
There's a huge demand for imported cars in Nigeria, as the locally made vehicle market isn't vibrant. Tochukwu Ezichi is the president of the National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders. He says the 67% upshoot in the cost of clearing a container is threatening import businesses.
What government is doing, they are using their exchange rate to convert the dollar. So if the duty we are paying before was 1 million naira, with the new government rate now, you look at paying 3 million naira. So government has a whole lot of role to play to bring down the dollar. Once the dollar comes down, the rate of clearing definitely will drop.
He's hoping that government would be more consistent with monetary policies and work towards improving the exchange rate.
The free charges now is killing. You see, the truth of the matter is it affects the small businessmen so much that in a situation you see somebody who has been importing 2 containers, 3 containers, now cannot do even one. 600 naira per dollar is not healthy. It's not healthy. Even for the importers, it's not healthy. For the government, it's not healthy. Because at the end of the day, it falls back to me and you, the end users.
Nigeria is not yet a member of the International Federation of Freight Forwarders Association. Experts say such membership would create a professional environment for Nigerian freight forwarders to thrive. They also hope that government considers reducing freight charges in the seaports and work towards strengthening the naira for better exchange rates.
Coming back home, the Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Ibrahim Asila, a nationwide tour or inspection of facilities under his ministry. His latest visit was to the ongoing construction of the Nyomi-Hakalan Loop and secondary roads, where he called on the youth of the area to take up the ownership of the project. Our reporter Bintu Jallo has the details in this report.
The construction of roads in the North Bank region is bringing joy in the communities. Good road networks will be good economic benefit to many of the people in that part of the region who are usually engaged in trading and farming. This road project is potentially one of the major northern transportation links and even to the neighboring border in Senegal's southern region of Casamance. Upon arrival, Minister Silla engaged the National Assembly member for Sabasanjal constituency, Babu Sise, who admitted that this is the first time a government official is coming to the region to see how government projects are being handled.
The villagers here, the only possible way of going to school is using this road, and the hospital is also not far from here. But they cannot pass through here during raining season because of the condition of this road. The only possible way of going out is to, divert, which would take them hours before reaching there, because they are not having community ambulance here. They are not having proper way of transporting people when they get sick. So this is the only shortest distance. And it is also very good when you have the shortest distance to a hospital being constructed for like when emergency comes. So it is very, very important if this road is constructed, and the people here, you can hear from them saying that this is something that is very important to them. And it is the first time that a minister and the managing director of NRA is coming here to see what is happening. So they are definitely very happy to see that at least they have come to see what is happening on the ground. That alone,
Minister Silla assured the community that their worries are soon coming to an end.
We have seen the road condition, and as the Director General of the NRA said, we will send in people to do a survey of the road, and then from there we will look at the options, what can be done, especially that the rainy season has almost started. So we will do our best to see what can be done. So we also would like to take this opportunity to thank our women councillors, the strong supporters of the NPP who have converged here, to welcome us. I think this is a great opportunity to interface with them and to let them know that President Barrow has already started his 5 years of real work that he intends to do for the people of this country, and definitely the people of Sabah Sanjal will not be left behind.
Project manager of Ariski Road Construction Company, Lot 1, Arvis Sanu, said major work have been completed and they are now left with the road furniture. However, he outlined some of the difficulties they are facing.
Main problem is that the bank has not approved or signed the addendum, and we are pre-financing the project now. That is our major problem. We have problem also with obstructions on the sections of the addendum. We have some obstructions and some expropriation has to be done.
The roads consist of the construction of pavement, bituminous surfacing, construction of drainage structures, parking lanes, and environmental and health safety management. There is expectation that when the road is completed, it will be dressed with complete traffic signboards and other road safety signs. It is a requirement of the project to establish a health, safety, and environmental management measures during the implementation of the project, as well as a temporary traffic diversions along the right of the road. Binta Jallo, Eyeafrica News.
And from the report there by Binta Jallo from the North Bank region, now to the northern part of the continent, where the skyrocketing prices of building materials have hit Tunisia's construction industry, leaving operators worried about the situation. Stakeholders from different countries converge in Tunis for the annual International Construction and Building Exhibition amid the prevailing economic challenges. Authorities in the North African nations have vowed to initiate measures to help revive the sector. Let's have more details of that in this report.
More than 200 exhibitors from Tunisia, Italy, France, Germany, Turkey, Algeria and other countries have been meeting at the annual Carthage International Construction and Building Exhibition. Analysts say the effects of rising inflation have permeated across the Tunisian economy, and the construction industry is no exception. Players in the industry say the cost increases of around 20 to 35% are putting serious pressure on the building sector.
This sector is facing many difficulties. The global crisis impacts businesses here in Tunisia because raw materials are more expensive and are not available. We keep delaying delivery of building projects. The cost is too high, while the purchasing power of the potential customers is at the lowest level.
Tunisian Public Works and Housing Minister noted that higher interest rates imposed by the central bank this month has made loans more expensive for both construction businesses and buyers. The government official has, however, pledged to support the rebound of the construction industry.
We aim to put in place new financing mechanism for property developers and buyers. The higher the inflation rate, the more interest rates are likely to rise. We need to revive the economy to boost the construction sector.
With fear of shortages and higher demand growing, costs of raw materials have been steadily rising since last year. In addition, the high price of fuel driven by the pandemic and the conflict in Ukraine has also increased costs for shipping. Property developers say the construction industry in Tunisia is in recession as prices of raw materials skyrocket amid frequent supply shortages. The situation has further been worsened by rapidly deteriorating purchasing power of majority of its citizens.
Coming back home, Gambia's government is expected to establish an interfaith consultative body as part of recommendations of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission, the TRRC. Now, the body will be charged with the mandate to carry out activities that will help strengthen religious tolerance and social cohesion in the country. Having considered the totality of the evidence during its more than a year sitting, TRRC had also recommended for former President Yahya Jammeh to be prosecuted for unlawful arrest, detention and torture of religious leaders such as Ba Kausu, among others. Mafuji Sise has the details in this report.
The borough government has said that structures are already in place to commence in the interfaith consultative body. The Truth Commission accused the government of former President Yahya Jammeh of creating an atmosphere of religious intolerance and accused his 22 years rule of ordering the arrest, detention and torture of imams, alcalos, chiefs and other leaders who he believed were challenging his authority or criticized his religious position or beliefs. Section 25 of the Gambian Constitution guarantees the freedom of religion. However, the Commission found out that Mr. Jammeh's regime had operated outside the provision of Section 25(1) of the 1997 Constitution. The borough-led administration had promised to work closely with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and the National Human Rights Commission to review school curricula, modules on religious education in public schools to integrate religious tolerance and social cohesion. The government, through the Ministry of Education, will also engage and encourage private schools to equally integrate religious tolerance and social cohesion into their curricula. Recommendations on Supreme Islamic Council. President Adam Barrow's government promised to forward the recommendation to the Supreme Islamic Council on president holding honorary positions in the religious body. The Gambia government has also accepted the Truth Commission recommendation that the head of state shall not hold any substantive or honorary positions in the Supreme Islamic Council, religious body or religious order. Freedom to practice in any religion in the Gambia is provided for under Section 25(1)(c) of the 1997 Constitution. This is supported by numerous human rights laws such as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and Article 8 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, also known as the Banjul Charter. Section 1 of the Constitution, as contained in the revised edition of the Laws of the Gambia 2009, provides that the Gambia is a sovereign secular republic, but the word secular was not originally stated in the original 1997 Constitution. It was said to be included via a constitutional amendment by Act No. 6 of 2001, which was challenged at the Supreme Court in the case of Kemes and Jammeh versus the Attorney General. The Supreme Court held that the amendment was unconstitutional as it was not done by the established procedures of amending the relevant section of the Constitution. For Eyeafrica News, I am Mafuji Sise.
This is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And from the report there by Mafuji Sise, we will now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin live from our studios in Banjul. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Now, officials of the Non-Communicable Disease Unit of the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare last weekend confiscated dozens of surface bottles and cigarette packets during a joint enforcement operation on the Tobacco Control Act. Now, the operation was conducted alongside the police, customs, public health officials, and environmentalists. The move is part of the Non-Communicable Disease Unit's enforcement measures on tobacco control laws and regulations in the country. Moses Emendi has the details again in this report.
The joint operation to enforce tobacco control laws and regulations took place in jurisdictions within the Greater Banjul area in both day and night. Series of shisha bottles and cigarette packets were seized by the authority. This is a galvanized effort to uphold the 2016 Tobacco Control Act. The Act prohibits public smoking, cigarettes without graphic health warning, and advertisement of tobacco products. In 2018, 16,000 deaths were recorded, and non-communicable diseases accounts for 34% of all deaths, with tobacco use being the single risk factor enabling all the major non-communicable diseases such as stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lungs disease. Sefo Singate, Senior Program Officer of Non-Communicable Disease Unit at the Ministry of Health, explains the consequences of tobacco use.
Annually, around 8 million people die from tobacco use, and nearly 900,000 people are second-hand smokers. But 900,000 people are exposed to second-hand smoke or died as a result of second-hand smoking. The burden is increasing, especially in countries like the Gambia, countries that are not strong enough economically, low and middle income countries. Smoking kills 33 to 50% of those who use it by an average of 15 years prematurely. That is, they die 15 years earlier before their actual death. This is what studies reveal.
In 2010 STEP survey report on the prevalence of tobacco use in the Gambia, smoking stands at 16.7%. Mr. Singate breaks down the details.
The prevalence shows that it is higher in male population. That is at 31%. Every 131 male smokes. And this is especially high in age groups 25 to 65. It is higher in those age groups. 31% in ages 25 to 65 smoke cigarette in this country among the male population. And the use of shisha has also been studied among school children, grade 7 to grade 12, that is age 12 to 20. And this shows an increase, a prevalence of 8.2% among school children, grade 7 to grade 12.
He continued that tobacco smoking does not harm its smoker only, but people around the smoker as well. That is why it has to be controlled. Mr. Singate again explained the economic burden of tobacco use on the country's economy.
Looking at the value of tobacco products or cigarettes in this country now, one stick will be approximately $4. You multiply this 3.6 million by $4, is nearly $15 million per day is what is spent directly on cigarettes. In a month, this will be 440 million. In a year, this is $5.290 billion. This is what is spent on cigarette.
This being the case, the Non-Communicable Disease Unit under the Ministry of Health has engaged into various initiatives such as orientation of regional education authorities on Tobacco Control Act, meetings with tobacco importers, Gambia Tourism Board, National Assembly members, and joint enforcement operation on Tobacco Control Act to combat tobacco use in the country. Pasamba Bojang, Head of Enforcement, Monitoring and Evaluation of Tobacco Control Act and also the Commissioner at the Drug Law Agency, says the operation was a successful one and the Tobacco Control Act is here to stay.
Actually, the operation was a very successful operation. We at least reached the target we are looking for. It's not easy to say that we go for operations and you have achieved what you expect for. But at least there is what we call community demand awareness. They complain that this law is not enforced. The community saying that we create laws and it's a law for a few days. There is this law. There is a notion in the Gambia that law Gambia a few days, after 2-3 days, the law disappears. I'm just trying to make it clear that the TCA 2016 is here to stay.
He cautioned that failure to comply with the act will bear severe consequences on culprits, adding that from now on they will embark on operations frequently. Tobacco poses severe health implications on its smokers. The act does not prohibit smokers from smoking, but it does implore them to protect the next person to them from the smoke by creating a 100-meter distance between them and the people around them. Culprits who fall short of the Tobacco Act mandates may risk prosecution. Moses Mendy, Eyeafrica News.
Elsewhere in the news, the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine is deteriorating food insecurity in Afghanistan as prices of the limited available food items continue to surge. Now, the scarcity of food commodities in the war-torn nation has further put citizens in a dire living condition. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The conflict in Ukraine continues to increase pressure on Afghanistan's wheat supply, food commodities, agriculture inputs, and fuel prices. According to a recent report by the UN, access to seeds, fertilizer, and water for irrigation is limited. Labor opportunities are scarce, and people have incurred enormous debts to buy food over the past few months. This is the biggest market of flour, oil, and other raw materials in Kabul, where merchants and customers complain about the skyrocketing prices as this pass.
We see an increase of 700 to 800 Afghanis in every sack of flour. The reason is the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and we are also affected.
Afghan experts say 9 months after the Taliban takeover, the Ukraine-Russia crisis has exacerbated Afghanistan's food crisis.
Economically, it affected Afghanistan so much that Afghanistan import wheat from the Kazakhstan's, oil, fuel, these things. It affected the whole region, especially Afghanistan.
And the situation is grave.
And that report is coming from Afghanistan. Finally, the Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Ibrahim Sela, on Friday visited the Basse market as part of his nationwide tour of facilities and institutions connected to his office. Now, during the visit, the minister engaged the vendors in a meeting where he thanked the market committee, the governor and the alcalos of Basse for a job well done. A location of the newly built market is currently ongoing, and the minister appealed to both the governor's office and the Basse Area Council to be conducting cleansing exercise to keep the market clean. Binta Jallo again with the details in this report.
Burnt down by fire that destroyed goods and materials worth millions of dollars. The project of the newly built market was worth about $112 million. To cater for the huge volume of commercial activities within the area, the complex provides for 246 vendor shops, 2 mini markets, and 4 waiting sheds with the capacity to house 70 women vegetable sellers. Minister Silla urged the people of Basse to make good use of the market and make sure it is clean at all times.
We want to appeal to both the governor's office and the area council to step up the cleansing exercise of the market, because the market has just started allocating stalls about 2 weeks ago, and the level of that we have seen and the way the place is kept, I think there is a lot that has to be done in terms of improving on that, because this is a very imposing edifice. If it is not properly well kept, you know, it will defeat the purpose. And what we have seen, even on the stairs, people have started already littering there. People have started, you know, leaving unkept, you know, things from their markets, you know, market stalls. And we have also seen the level of rubbish that is left on the tiles. I think this is one thing that we want to appeal, you know, to keep the property and the place well kept, you know, so that anybody who comes here to buy, you'll be happy with the level of cleanliness of the place. That's what I want to appeal both to the area council and also the governor's office and the local administration.
A senior architect at the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Ambaseka, said they are about to start the construction of the access road to the market.
The contractor is currently mobilizing resources to come and commence the access road, at least to help the residents to have access to the market. Because when we are doing the market, we actually found that during the raining season, they had issues accessing the market, the parkway. So that is why we signed an addendum to address that issue, to construct the access road. So that will be commencing next week, and it is for a duration of 4 months. So hopefully in 4 months' time, that will be completed.
The women vendors at the market also showed appreciation for the minister's visit and the construction of the new market. Binta Jallo, Eyeafrica News.
That report there by Binta Jallo eventually brings us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching and do have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.